The sandpaper is for a little bit of maintenance time. So I do snowshoe, and not as much as I'd like to. I did a lot of snowshoeing when I was younger, and I still snowshoe. And it's time to do some maintenance on these guys. And actually not this guy here, because he's getting retired. These snowshoes, they served me well for a lot of years, actually, a lot of years. And it's time to retire these guys, because, not because the varnish is rubbed off. It goes beyond that. Some of the babiche is broken, but although this can be repaired, these snowshoes have a bigger problem. And there's, let's see here. Can I get that on camera? Right there. There's a crack. There's a couple of cracks. See, this one here a long time ago, a chip blew out. I revarnished on top of the chip that blew out, but that blowout actually continued on. It's starting to crack this way. So it's time to bid farewell, but not completely. I'm not going to throw them out. These are at the point there now where people call them wall hangers, right? You know, the traditional look on at hunt camp there, hanging on the wall. Usually when they're hanging on the wall, it's because they serve their purpose and they're not serviceable anymore. But I do have some other snowshoes. This guy here is good for a little while longer, but he's due for a revarnish. The varnish is mostly rubbed off, but there's still some remnants of it. It's still good. It's still, if I take care of it now, I'll have many years out of it. Actually, and I'm going to transfer these bindings, these leather bindings, I'm going to transfer them from these snowshoes to these ones after I'm done refinishing these guys. These, oh, you know what? These are the Huron style. Both of them are Huron snowshoes. You see the difference, right? They vary in shape. The basic shape of them is the same. That's the Huron versus, and then of course I got some modern style snowshoes. I use these as well. I've been using these guys for about 3 years now. 2 years? 2 years I've been using these guys. And they perform quite well, the more modern style. I prefer the traditional snowshoes, but I can't, so far I can't kick over that. The binding specifically, it makes it so much easier, this new style of binding. Where you push on it, then you pull up and you tighten it up like a ratchet. It's quite nice. You can manipulate these bindings quite easily with gloves. And got some spikes for the ice. And you need it because this is all plastic, obviously, but there's no holes. Unlike a traditional snowshoe, when you put your foot down in the snow pokes through these holes. So the snowshoe gives you support in the snow, but when you put your foot down and the snow comes through these holes, that gives you traction. It grips to go. So when you look at the modern style snowshoe, there's nothing like that. So you compensate by adding these aluminum grippers. I think, you know, if you're going to look at both styles of snowshoes and make a comparison, that there's a place for everything. And, you know, some people are very traditional and they never look at these guys. I'm more traditional myself. I prefer the traditional. But these guys here, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, the biggest advantage for these is when you got wet snow conditions. This type of snowshoe, when the snow is wet, you make 3-4 steps and the snow glues right to the bottom of the snowshoe. And within 3-4 steps, you swear you got cinder blocks tied to the bottom of your feet. And that is a big, big disadvantage with these types of snowshoes, is wet snow. And these guys here in wet snow, you can't beat it as far as I'm concerned. Other than that, the weight rating and all that, right? And I'm kind of, you know, they all have their weight ratings. And you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt as far as I'm concerned. Because the weight rating really, it's all about the snow conditions. Not you know, if you got denser snow, obviously you don't need as big of a snowshoe to walk on that denser snow. Vice versa, fluffy snow, fresh fallen snow, hard packed snow, snow that's got a layer of crust frozen over them. That kind of thing. So anyways, let's move forward with this. And I've been chopping up sandpaper. Let's get this ready for a fresh coat of varnish. We're going to put some sandpaper, and just a little trick with sandpaper. While I'm at it, might as well throw it in there. You fold it in 3. Like that, and then you sand, not on the rolled edge like that, but on the cut edge. That way your paper will never roll on you when you're sanding. And then as you get, let's reposition this here. As you get one surface is worn out from sanding, then you open it up, go like that, and you got your other surface ready to go, and then you got your third surface. So just a little trick and tip there. So yeah, I'm gonna put the camera down and give this a light sanding and tear apart the bindings off the other snowshoes and get ready to give this a coat of varnish. We've now moved indoors, and we're gonna work on the bindings. So what you'll need for the bindings, and this is for leather bindings specifically, and this is anything leather, knife sheaths, ask masks, anything like that. And your arsenal will be your choice of leather protectant. I have Kiwi Outdoor. I got Urad Total Leather Care, mink oil, soft sole, dubbin grease, any of those products. I mean, I've never seen a product that I use that I thought, you know what, I'll never use this again. They all do their job. They're all good. Beeswax is another good one. Works very well. So pick your weapon. But before you start applying your grease, prep your bindings first. And what I mean by that is, and I use a Lysol wipe, and I just give it a very light wipe. And if you think about your bindings, sometimes you could be leaving a parking area with your shoes, your snowshoes strapped onto your feet, and you go and there's salt, road salt in the parking areas. Your bindings do pick up contaminants, is what I'm trying to say. But a quick wipe, just like I just demonstrated, works fantastic. Now, the other thing I do with my bindings or anything leather, and I used to do this with my work boots as well, my leather work boots over the years, is I stick them in the oven, turn the oven on low heat, and stick it in the oven, and you want it to, and I let it get hot enough that you can still hold it in your hands. If you can't hang on to it, it's too hot. You don't want it that hot. And what I found by warming up your leather, whatever product you choose to use, your wax or anything that you choose, when you apply it to the leather, it melts and goes right in the leather. And this one here has not been done yet, has not been heated. As you can see, I just gave it a wipe. I got another one in the oven right now, the other binding. I'm going to put the camera down and put it side by side, and I'm going to put a glob on each one, and I'll demonstrate how, once the leather is heated, how it reacts, how the wax reacts to it. So I have my rag ready, and we will, what are we going to use today? We'll use this one. The can's almost empty. We'll finish it off today. We'll use this Kiwi product. Okay, so this is the one that's warmed up. This is the one that's kind of cool or warm at room temperature. So have a look here. You can see how it's, how it's melting? And that's just penetrating that leather. Now if I take the other one, which is not warmed up, now I put a glob on there, it just sits there. This guy here, right, so he's not doing anything. Now I can rub him in there and it'll work. It'll do what it's supposed to do. But when it's warmed up, it really gets in there. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's maximum protection for your leather right there. When it's warmed up like that. And 100% coat everything. Even the side where it's not a true nice smooth finish, you want to hit that up as well. I'm always generous with this stuff. And these bindings is a testament to what happens when you take care of it, because these are years old, literally years and years and years old. And they got years of life left in them. And quite honestly, I find that leather looks nicer when it gets older and aged up and weathered. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to grab the other binding. I turned the oven off, but I'm going to throw it in there because the oven is retaining enough heat that I can throw this on, get this one warmed up while I'm doing this one here. And just a word of advice, don't forget it in the oven. This is not going to be good. So don't stick it, don't go warming this up, throw it in the oven and walk away and forget about it, get distracted by something else, because you will destroy it. There it is, completed. Looks fantastic. Nice and shiny, nice and smooth. Beauty. I'm happy with the turnout. I'm going to get a lot of use out of these again. So for the record, this ends up being 4 coats of varnish. 2 coats applied on one day. Then a full day of dry and cure time. And then the following day after that was 2 more coats on that same day. And then again, well, dry time. So there it is. And quite happy with the way it is. Can't wait to hit the trails with these things all over again. So guys, I hope this video helped you if you're into snowshoes and not quite sure how to maintain or anything like that. I hope this video was helpful. And you know what? These can be time consuming. You figure this was over the course of a total of 6 days, I believe now, that I started the project. But, you know, these things don't take one day. You got to take your time and, yeah, make it enjoyable. Have fun in the shop and get your gear back in order. So I'm signing off, guys. See you on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me.